Okay, am I alive yet? Or anybody here yet? I don't think anybody is, but we'll wait for a few seconds. Yeah, I get notification that I'm online. Okay, wait a few minutes here. Excuse me. But, no, I'm gonna not do Flat Earth today. I'm gonna go into several other branches of pseudoscience. Well, mostly astronomy and astrophysics. Go figure. Um, I'll probably do something tomorrow too, but I just need to. For YouTube, you need a certain number of view hours, so I'll give everybody a couple more minutes to see if they can figure out I'm online. Plus tonight, I think MC Toon's going to do something in a couple hours probably, and I don't know if Unfornicated's going to do anything or not, but he said he might. So, but part of doing this is because Unfornicated was saying he wanted to do a new awards thing. There's MC Toon has the upper left award. It's based off the Dunning-Kruger effect. The people on the far left are people who have the least experience in studying a subject, but they think they know the most. And as you go along and get more experience, you learn that you don't really know that much until you actually do know much. So the upper left are for people who are in the flat earth community, who watch a couple of YouTube videos and think they know everything about astronomy or science, and that's it. These people are some of the more pompous or just plain arrogant types on the pseudoscience. Plus, I think we should sometime go through some of the old skeptic stuff. I think a lot of people who are coming in because of the flat Earth in the last 10 years haven't really gotten into the other stuff like homeopathy, anti-vax, moon landing denial is coming back. Unfortunately, it seems to be every generation. But there used to be an organization called the James Randi Education Foundation, which was based in Florida. It was based around a guy named James Randi, who was a magician and eventually became a debunker. A lot of magicians go into debunking, or not debunking, but they into skepticism, because you have one of the most famous was, can't think, Houdini. He had a $10,000 prize for anybody who could prove that they were talking to the dead, and nobody did. James Randi was a magician and knew all the tricks, so he could see easily through a lot of the fakery. Also, Penn and Teller, you may have heard of them. Well, you've probably heard from Penn more than from Teller, but they're a comedian magician group that are a duo, and they're into the skeptic movement, or into the James Randi Foundation. But this was a couple of their talks. They had these things called amazing meetings in Vegas for a number of years. But the foundation folded when James Randi died. But they had $1 million challenge to try to prove whether or not people's claims were valid, like dowsing and all kinds of things. One famous person who they tried to get into doing it was Sylvia Brown, who was a psychic in Las Vegas, but she did not. She said, "Oh, I couldn't find your phone number." Well, the phone number's in the book, and all this other stuff, because a lot of these people won't do the challenge because they know they're going to lose income if they prove to be fake. So we'll maybe go through some of these videos. There's more than that. There's one here where, okay. But maybe one more thing we can do is, that's how I spelled it. I don't know how copyright's gonna work with this. This was somewhat a famous one. Phil Plait, don't be a dick.
I typically talk about astronomy, space, and science, and the way they're twisted and distorted by anti-scientists and pseudoscientists. And for all the years that I've been doing active skepticism, I've never actually stood up here and talked about what it means to be an active skeptic, to do skepticism, about how we practice this art of ours. It's not really necessarily a science skepticism. There's some art to it. And I've not discussed skeptics ourselves. And so over the past couple of months, I've been thinking about this a lot. I read a lot of blogs. I read the bulletin boards and all of that. And honestly, there's been some alarming developments in the way skepticism is being done. And, perhaps not overall, but in some specific places, the tone of what we're doing is decaying. And instead of relying on the merits of the arguments, which is what critical thinking is really all about, what evidence-based reasoning is about, it seems that vitriol and venom are on the rise, and I'm unhappy about that, and I want to talk about it. So let me ask you a question. Here. How many of you here today used to believe in something, used to past tense, whether it was flying saucers, psychic powers, religion, anything like that? You can raise your hand if you want to. I mean, I imagine not everybody's born a skeptic, right? A lot of you are raising your hand. I'd even say most of you, from what I can tell. Now let me ask you a second question. Second question is, how many of you no longer believe in those things and you became a skeptic because somebody got in your face screaming and called you an idiot, brain damaged, and a patron? Okay. Yeah.
I've noticed this too. There's certain people that I follow now that at times can get very insulting and angry at people, but there's people on the I think it's also starts with people on the other side, with the people on the flat earth side, who start calling people idiots or start going sheep or other stuff, and it gets very heated very fast. Plus also there's a QAnon happen, and QAnon basically try to paint everybody who doesn't believe in the flat earth or in anti-vax stuff or in all this other stuff as the kind of nickname for his PDF files. If you can read between the lines on that, that's what that's about. So it gets very heated very fast, and it's just a very angry conversation. I'm not trying to pass judgments, because sometimes you do have to yell at people to get through to them, but there seems to be an annoying trend in this. And then recently there was a woman, if you want to call her that, who went around and basically started arguments with everybody and calling them names and stalking people and calling their loved ones names and then this stuff. One guy decided to have her on and got into an argument with her, and it's causing a bit of rift. But it's just these people you shouldn't engage with, but it's just they're everywhere, and you shouldn't really do it. I kind of okay. I did mock Mikey Smith, and I did mock a little bit of CC, but Mikey, I think, is really arrogant. For his intelligence, he has some issues. So he needs to learn he has limits, but he actually can learn stuff, and he's fairly technical able. And well, once somebody shows him how to do something, or he's actually not as stupid as some people might think he is. He's not that great in science, but he has his own expertise in life. CC just goes on rants. I think he's just an angry guy who goes into conspiracy theories and thinks they're all real. Well, we often make a little joke about his hair, or that all his talks start the same way, or his wife told him to stop his bullshit. That's just that part of it, but these people won't change. But try not to be a dick, but sometimes you're just so annoyed and frustrated at somebody, like a person running into an observatory and going, well, it's all fake, and gay, and I get these pictures that prove that I have the firmament, and the and the stars look completely different. I'm better than everybody else. If somebody went into a concert and you're a musician, if you're a guitar player or a singer or something, and somebody starts going in there and writing, oh, you suck, I could play the guitar better than you, and you start yelling, annoying, and insulting you and the audience, wouldn't you be upset? Wouldn't you try to get this disruptive person like this out of your concert? And the thing is people want to go and enjoy the night sky, and you have this guy running around just disturbing things and arguing with people and won't listen to people. I think he was also, some people insulted him as a kid or when he was younger about his intelligence, and it's just pisses him off when somebody tries to explain things with words that he doesn't understand. But that's just my impression of Mikey. So we're going to listen more to Phil Plait here.
Right. And look, we have to admit that our reputation amongst the majority of the population is not exactly stellar, right? So where does this leave us? How do we attain that goal of a rational, reasonable, enlightened society? And the key is obvious, to me at least, it's communication, right? Right? The best idea ever thought of in the history of humanity is useless unless someone communicates it. It will die in the test. Two, and in our case, what we're communicating here to people is not something they necessarily want to hear. So our demeanor, how we deliver this message, takes on crucial importance. So again, I ask you to remind you, how many of you lost your faith, your belief, because someone called you an idiot? Right? I suspect that most of you, like me, you lost your beliefs gradually. It didn't happen overnight. I didn't wake up one day and decide to disbelieve, or it just happened. It took a while, months, years, I don't know, to be honest. I don't remember, but it wasn't overnight. And it wasn't because someone insulted me or got in my face. We saw Randy on those clips earlier today, and I'm not sure exactly about the timing when he did the psychic surgery, but I remember watching that and laughing and thinking that was awesome. That's a terrific way to do it, to make people laugh and to tell them it's a trick, and you engage them, and it's funny. And that really helped me become an active skeptic and to do what I do today. And that was 20 years ago. I mean, I really started thinking about my own beliefs. I've mentioned this many times in previous TAMP, UFOs and out-of-body experiences and the Bermuda Triangle. I was huge into that stuff. And you know what? And now look where I am, right? I used to be a believer in all of that. But
here's the thing. A lot of the skeptics actually started off believing this stuff and started investigating them, and then eventually found out that they were false. As he said, he used to believe in UFOs and psychics and stuff, and eventually found out that they were false. There's a podcast called The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, and how they started was there's three brothers, Steve, Bob, and Jay Novella, and then they started with, I don't know if they were started in this New England Skeptic Society or founded it, but some of their early investigations was into ghost hauntings. And okay, they've ran into the same two people, the Warrens. If you watch those movies, The Conjuring, the Amityville Horror, those kind of movies where they have ghost ghost hunting in these old houses, and you have this couple that comes in that says they're ghosts and paranormal events. That's who they're based off, is this couple. And what is it, that doll that's cursed? Then the Novellas actually think they saw the doll in their basement, in the Warrens' basement. So they started, but they eventually found that the Warrens were more into looking for profit than they were into actually proving this stuff. But a lot of people start off that way, and then they eventually investigate it and find out that they're wrong. But it's like Jaron in the Flat Earth, and when they finally got him to Antarctica, and he finally saw the 24-hour sun. Some people have issues with Jaron, but once he saw the 24-hour sun and other evidence, he eventually realized he was wrong on that, and now he's actually one of the best debunkers of the Flat Earth stuff. So, okay.
But today I write a skeptical...
Okay, and there are other people online now that are more into making fun of people for... of the Flat Earth and other stuff, just to make fun of them, for comedy. I don't know where I lie on that. Sometimes it gets on my nerves, but it's up to your own personal taste.
blog. I've written a skeptical book. And for a year, I was the president of one of the premier skeptical organizations on the planet. You may have heard of it.
Yeah, he was president of the James Randi Educational Foundation for a year, and then eventually he did a show called Phil Plate's, not Bad Universe or something. I wonder if there's actually...
Yeah, smells like mass extinction.
This is the intro
So
for
a massive asteroid is buried.
This is the intro for the show that he had for like 3 episodes, but it was a good show when it was on.
Yeah, smells like mass extinction. So a massive asteroid is bearing down on the Earth. We're talking about millions of lives. People could die. This is the real thing. We're going to try to save the Earth here. We'd seen it done in Hollywood movies. Would that actually work? Today we're going to find out exactly what's going to happen. I want to model an asteroid impact. I need a big explosion. It helps to know what this thing is made of. Fire! We have to start looking into this now. Because this may mean the difference between life on Earth and no life at all. The universe is a dangerous place. Threats can come from any direction. But pop culture has played fast and loose with the facts. And quite often, the things we think we know are all wrong. And when you're dealing with the universe, ignorance can be deadly. That's where I come in. I'm Phil Plate. I'm an astronomer on a mission. My job is to debunk all the junk science out there and reveal the truth. We're going to show you the real science behind the mysteries of this planet.
Oh, God.
Our solar system. And the bad universe we all live in. It just may save your life.
Phil Plate's Bad Universe. The reason it's called Bad Universe is because he got a book called Bad Astronomy, which is based off of the moon landing hoax, and his blog was named the Bad Astronomer. Right now he's just doing newsletters. So, okay, we'll go back to his talk.
And I suppose you could call me a skeptical success story. I didn't seek out to do this, but I guess the way I did it worked and it resonated with some people, and I'm really glad about that. But if someone had told me when I was 13 years old that my belief in UFOs was stupid and that I was an idiot, and that stuff clearly isn't true, where would I be sitting right now? Wouldn't be here. The insults, when we do insult people and it happens, they fly for a lot of reasons, and I suspect that frustration is one of them. Active skeptics, like me, like everyone out there who's been doing this for a long time, we've been fighting irrationality for years. And it gets frustrating when the same arguments come up over and over again. Long debunked tropes that are clearly wrong, and yet they're thrown at us again and again and again. And then you know what happens is that the pseudoscientists change their arguments slightly, and it's enough to maybe fool the public or fool the media. It doesn't fool us, but you know, that happens. We have to be careful not to personalize that anger too much. Now look, anger is good. It's needed. It's a motivator, right? It gets you out of bed sometimes, and I speak from personal experience. I get angry, but it's also a loaded weapon, and we need to be exceedingly careful where we aim that weapon. It's too tempting to want results right now. I want to change somebody's mind while I'm talking to him, while I'm face to face with it. It's human nature to want that, to want instant gratification, and to win an argument. And anger and frustration can catalyze that. But how many of you play chess? I'm guessing a lot of you are dwebs. You play chess. I play chess. How often do you sacrifice a piece for the greater goal? Right? You can have your queen at the end of the game when your opponent checkmates you, but you've lost. Okay? You've lost the game. It doesn't help. Another analogy, I love this one too. A pedestrian has the right of way while crossing a street. And certainly if you walk off a sidewalk when a car is coming, you're technically in the right. You're also roadkill, all right? When you're dealing with someone who disagrees with you on some matter, what is your goal? What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Insulting at them, just insulting them, yelling at them, calling them brain damaged or morons or baby rapers may make you feel good. That's been used, by the way. It may make you feel good. It may help you vent. It may help you release frustration. It may rally the troops. It may even inspire people to help you and to take action. And let's be honest, it may allow you to feel smug and superior, at least in that moment. But is your goal to score a cheap point? Or is your goal to win the damn game? It's no surprise, I think you'll agree, that in the skeptic movement, we have our share of people who are a bit short in the politeness department. In times of war, we need warriors. But this isn't a war. You might try to say it is, but it's not a war. We aren't trying to kill an enemy. We're trying to persuade other humans. And in times like that, we don't need warriors. What we need are diplomats. So after all this, I think I can sum up my points like this. First, always ask yourself what your goal is, right? Is this argument necessary? What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Before you blog, before you leave a comment, before you engage a pseudoscientist, before you raise your hand, before you send that email, ask yourself, is this going to help? Is this going to allow me to achieve my goal? And you also need to ask yourself, will this impede me from achieving that goal? Is this just to make me feel better? Or am I trying to change the world? And second, and not to put too fine a point on it, don't be a dick. Now, I'm not the first person to say this, okay? Okay? Don't be a dick. All being a dick does is score cheap points. It does not win the hearts and minds of people everywhere. And honestly, winning those hearts and minds, that's our goal. And I asked you 2 questions at the beginning when I stood up here in the first place. And the first one was if you used to believe in something. And the second one is if you lost that belief because someone was addicted to you. My goal, my personal goal, is to have everyone in the world raise their hand when they're asked that first question. And the other part of that goal is to never even have to ask the second. Thank you very much.
Okay. We try not to be dicks, but some people can get things going this way. but okay. Anybody hearing me? Or is it just... probably busy tonight. But here's the one. Okay. This is... See the pattern. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I find him kind of pompous. He doesn't... It's not... He does understand a lot of science, but he just doesn't want to believe in like the Big Bang or redshift or any stuff like that, or a lot of the quantum stuff. So, and as you could see, he does a lot of videos. He's done a lot of videos. I've done a few debunkings on my blog of him, but he's one of these guys that produces a lot of content, and it's a lot of stuff that you have to research to actually find. I actually have to do a lot of research to find the flaws in his arguments sometimes, and sometimes he actually reports on real science and gets it right, so it's kind of a mixed bag with him. Okay, another person my back channel is the Sky Scholar, Pierre Marie Robitaille, or PM Robitaille. He actually has a PhD in science. He's got one in chemistry, I think. And he does what is called condensed matter, which is solids and gases. And but he does a lot of but he thinks he knows astronomy better than astronomers, because he thinks gases need a container and to do spectroscopy, and gravity can't cause things to collapse and stuff like that. And he also does, and this is Jim Keller is I think founded AMD, or one of the chief researchers at AMD for a long time, the computer chip manufacturer. So he goes on about this stuff, and I should go back to doing debunking of him and do debunking of videos of him, but they'll probably be doing that soon. I got into flat earth. Well, the reason I got mostly into flat earth is because there's a debunking show called The Drunk Debunk Show. He does drink, but he's a functional human being. He does a job. He just started to do debunking while drinking, and the stream caught on, and that was the name of the stream. But he did go sober for a couple months this year. But he kind of prank called Mikey Smith, saying he was a lawyer from the Canadian Space Agency. For some reason, they chose the Houston phone number, and there's a bunch of Canadians in the chat at the time, and they ignored us. It's like, well, I said, tell Mikey to go to Service Canada in Regina, or wherever he was, because Service Canada is like where you go and get your passport and stuff like that. Or there's probably Service Saskatchewan. There in New Brunswick, there's Service New Brunswick, where you could get your land deeds and your driver's license and stuff. But they ignored us, so I kind of kept on Mikey, so people know that the facts behind it. So yeah, and people go, and then I think there's some people upset because I did a video editing when he went to the Regina Science Center, and he walked in and he just started with this flat Earth BS, and then went back and started a fight. Was basically thrown out of the observatory in the science center, and he threw his pamphlets into the science center, littering from the second floor. That's the kind of stuff that, like I used, as I said before, I used to do telescope tours or things for students. And if somebody came in with that kind of attitude, it would get on my nerves, and it would stress me out. So it's just, this is not a healthy situation for people. And I actually have told he went to the Saskatoon Observatory once, and then I emailed them and told them to keep an eye out, because he's planning on doing this, and at the Saskatoon Observatory as well. And they told him not to come in after he did it twice. So if he's going to go and do it a third time, he's got ample choice. And he said he's planning on to go to Calgary, but I sent the Calgary Observatory a note, and he actually going. I'm suing the CSA. His law case has been dismissed last week, which is good, and he only got charged $700. He doesn't make much money, but it's $700, and you could probably make payment plans over a year or whatever. So I don't think he could have been charged $1,200 or more money, or the Canadian Space Agency could have countersued for defamation of character. Astronomers across Canada and across the U.S. could have been sued him for defamation of character. He's called observatories all over Canada and the U.S. He called the Very Large Array, which is a radio telescope in Arizona, I think, or is it? No, New Mexico. But it's a very large radio observatory, and he called them and asked for movies to be made of stars, because he only trusts movies. He doesn't trust pictures. So, and he thinks every picture of space is a cartoon. So he lost the case, and hopefully he takes some time off and get a little bit more grounded, and hopefully he'll do better. He actually does take some good pictures, and he's getting better at taking pictures. So, but Robitaille thinks that the cosmic background radiation is water, or reflections of water from the Earth. Because the first measurement of it was actually over the Atlantic Ocean from New Jersey. And just one moment, please. I need a sip. Because Wilson and I can't think of how to pronounce the second name. But when they detected the background radiation using a Horn antenna in New Jersey for Bell Labs, they were testing it, and they kept on testing it and cleaning it and scrubbing it and doing all this stuff, and they eventually realized that it was cosmic background radiation from the Big Bang. But he thinks it's a reflection of water over the ocean, and when they sent the satellites up into space, it's water being reflected from spectrum from water being reflected into space from the Earth. This is one of these cases of him, somebody who's not an expert in the field, going into a field that they don't like. But yeah, there's a more famous case lately about 3I Atlas. I think that's partially what's going on there. But so, and then we have good old cranks like Mudfossil University, who thinks every stone is part of some kind of living creature that died in a mud flood. Asteroids are parts of giant beings. He's also a fan of Velikovsky, who was a psychiatrist from Russia who went to the States and wrote a book called Worlds in Collision, where he said Jupiter is the X-core of Jupiter, and it bounced around the solar system for a while and caused the Earth to stand still for a day because somebody wrote it in the Bible. And then there's the Thunderbolts Project, which is the electric universe, and they think everything's electric, and gravity doesn't play much of a role. And I think mainstream science just thinks everything is gravity. That's mainstream science thinks it's a combination of four forces. So, and they have a lot of stuff too. Which one is this one? Demystified Sci podcast. They pretty much interview any crank that will come on. And they give me like 60-second theories. And okay, there's one here that actually was probably good, and that's the Pure Sham review for the medical sciences. I don't know if it was any good or not, but and people trying to bring back ether, and so okay. I only noticed that one. Okay, these guys during the eclipse in 2024 actually had a little conference down in Texas. But there's some of these people I recognize from other areas. And here's the thing: if scientists knew everything, there wouldn't be scientists, because science is studying the universe to try to figure it out, and not knowing everything. So, yes, I know a lot of people have been concentrating on the flat Earth lately, and there's still more stuff to go. Actually, I noticed that one interview I think was taken down, and that was Fraser Cain, who was actually a mainstream science reporter. Was talking about SETI and life in the universe, and it was one of their first episodes, so he probably didn't know what they were up to, and he had to pull it down. But the two people between this, Anastasia and Shiloh, are biologists, and somehow he got into teaching astronomy and physics at the University of Portland. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. Well, the thing with these people is that they've already had their theories ready, so they just want to go in and talk about it. But PM Robitaille has been on here several times. See the Pattern has been on a couple of theirs. It's just it just seems like a never-ending stream of stuff to deal with. Plus, then there's a real astronomy, which is another stream of that keeps on coming. Yeah, there's Robitaille now near the beginning. So, and what was the last one here? Oh, that's Bad Universe. So, actually, that didn't take as long as I thought it was going to take. But okay, that's just some candidates of some of the worst offenders. There's probably a lot more offenders in the universe, but I don't know what else is going on YouTube. And the reason why I don't like doing it when other people are doing it is because I just don't want to. It's usually the same group of people doing it, watching, so you don't want to split them up too much to help our numbers out a little better. Okay, I guess that's it for now. I guess I'll probably do some research into like the astro, those little quick astro bits or astro quickies. People seem to like them, and then someday we'll start going through all this stuff. But I hope everybody has a good day, and goodbye, and see you later. As I said, I may do something tomorrow as I do a little bit more research into stuff. So, okay, I hope everybody has a good day. Bye.